Is Jeremy Grant the most improved player? Blake Griffin actually being a leader this season? In Michigan basketball, are they ready for a title? Stat Devo back with another Stat Devo check. Back here with another podcast about basketball. I'm here with Matt, just Matt this time, sadly missing Nate, and we're here to talk about Michigan basketball, Detroit basketball, and honestly anything in the NBA right now. So we're just gonna get right into it, starting with the Pistons. You know, the hottest team in the league right now, coming off of a great win against the Suns.
2-8 start to the season. Great game against the Suns. We'll see what we can do next against our matchup against the Bucks.
Watching that game was actually so fun. Coming back from 23 points against the 1 seed in the West.
It was a very surprising thing to see, but we got what we wanted. Great game, competitive like always, and come out with a dub this time.
And I remember you questioning it. You were like, "Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to us? Why do you watch this?"
Yeah, well, the first half was very rough to watch.
It was. It was hard to watch.
I mean, you sat there as a Pistons fan. You're like, well, yeah,
I have never seen so many open threes by Devin Booker missed in my life.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get bailed out sometimes, but hey, it's part of basketball.
I want to talk about Jeremy Grant, of course.
My Piston.
Can we just acknowledge that he's the first Piston that has really excited us? Yeah. Because this excitement is different from Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose's, because they were proven before. This guy is proving himself in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the last time we saw a Piston come in from free agency and just start so dominant in a season.
I hate to say it, but I really think it's Corey Maggette, the last guy.
Yeah,
or Ben Gordon.
Ben Gordon was exciting.
I wasn't even a basketball fan then.
Yeah, he was hot thing on the market when he came to the Pistons.
Yeah, and everybody says that's one of the worst pickups in free agency that the Pistons have had in the past 20 years.
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, Jeremy Grant is literally putting up a new career high in some stat every single game.
I was watching the Pistons after game, and they brought up a part, and Jeremy Grant, another 30-point game, and you sit there and you're like, all right, this is something we can get used to now. I feel like we're 10 games in, and he's averaging 25 points. I think it's time to start realizing that this might be a everyday thing for Grant. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's off to a hot start, but I think throughout the season we might get more comfortable with him scoring 25 points on a game-week basis.
See, he's taking, I think, on average 19 shots per game.
And that's fine.
And I mean, I would be okay if he shot 30.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the game, we were sitting there like, all right, time to give the ball to Grant. Like, let's see the ISO, let's get a pick and roll. They did a great pick and roll with Plumlee at the end of the game where he shoveled it off.
The thing Casey's doing is playing through our best player. Playing through the guy that we expected to be our best player this season. And
Blake Griffin? Is that what you're saying? Or Grant?
Grant?
Yeah.
It's what you're supposed to do in sports. When you have your best player, your number one objective every single time should be to get that guy the ball.
Yeah, I mean, on the game against Trailblazers, you're going to give Damian Lillard or C.J. McCollum the ball.
I'm giving McCollum the ball now.
But you get what I'm saying. Zach LaVine on the Bulls, hot start this season. Who are you going to get the ball to at the end of the game?
Kobe White.
Zach LaVine's going to get the ball. That's what you need to get used to. For the Pistons, they need to get Grant the ball.
Jeremy Grant could really evolve and be, I guess, I don't want to say he's a replacement. It's just what Chris Middleton in Detroit could have been.
Yes and no, in a way. I mean, they play different styles of basketball, but the dominance that he's showing right now, that's what Chris Middleton started to do on the Bucks when he started getting hot. You remember, when he first got to the Bucks, the duo was starting between Giannis and Middleton, and it just took off.
It's just getting the ball.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 19 shots a game. Maybe it wouldn't be bad if he shot 25 to 30 shots a game. 30 shots is a lot, don't get me wrong, because
that's hard in numbers.
Yeah, but 25 shots a game, is that really that much shots for an awful team of how we're playing?
Well, realistically, teams shoot about, I would say, 100 shots a game is a lot.
Yeah.
So if he's shooting 25, realistically, he's his usage rate will be about 25% of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's a bump in whatever he's at now because the usage rate, I think, mostly is going through Plumlee and Blake. And Jeremy, I'm sure, is up there. But
And let's not forget, I mean, Grant is a top 10 player right now in the NBA for most minutes played.
yeah, that is true. But that's the thing, though. When we're stuck in this competitive rebuild now because we had a clear path at the beginning of the season that was to lose. Through the 10 games of this season, I'm pretty sure we've only lost by more than 10 once, and that was to the Bucks.
Yeah.
This team realistically could be the trap game of this season if it continues.
100%.
Out of all teams, I feel like this Pistons team could be the only one that could surprise people on a nightly basis.
The way to put it, I guess, is this team is the best non-competitive basketball team to watch throughout the NBA.
And
Because
honestly,
you're having players fight for a spot. I mean, it's not just a full tank rebuild. Like, don't get me
people
wrong.
are proving themselves each night. A new guy is.
Our 2-8 record is gonna show that we're tanking hard. But as a Pistons fan, you're sitting there watching. You're like, this is a competitive basketball game. These guys are competing out here every game.
No matter the
This isn't
comeback,
just
for some reason, we just erase it.
Yeah, this isn't just a normal rebuild. Like, this is gonna be a competitive rebuild. I mean, you're gonna have players fighting for minutes.
We could be, if we make some moves in the offseason, and I'm sure we're not going to see the same starting lineup next season.
No.
We could really be that team just to fight.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a trap. We could be a trap game this season for a lot of teams. And we've seen it. We beat the Celtics. We beat the
one seed in the Suns.
Yeah, I mean,
Isaiah Stewart just really had a great game, I feel like, against the Suns, and
yeah, he had a great game.
Jeremy Grant, Blake Griffin did, but
player we should talk about though, I feel like we should get to Blake Griffin.
He's obviously showing more leadership these past few games. He's showing, I guess, more athleticism because he's actually cutting to the rim. He just can't. He hasn't been able to shoot the ball these past few.
Yeah, he's struggling at the field goal. He's currently shooting like 39% from field goal.
29% from three.
Yeah, but the thing is, watching that Suns game and throughout the season, when Blake Griffin played good this season, it's gonna sound crazy, but we were running the offense through Blake Griffin. We're getting him that mismatch. We're gonna throw it down low. Teams are gonna respect him enough to double team. And there is nothing I get more excited than when Blake Griffin gets the ball down low and he starts swinging that ball to the wide open person, and that's when the Pistons get that ball movement going. I mean, it might sound weird, but that is exciting. They get the ball down to him. They're gonna start double teaming. They're gonna find he's gonna find that wide open guy.
Blake Griffin, I feel like if he plays with more speed, teams will really fall on him more because his pump fake takes 3 seconds alone just to get done. And that's the most irritating thing to me. Same thing with it's the same thing if I put Plumlee on the top of the perimeter and give him the ball and expect something to happen. It's just Blake Griffin, if he could really bump up his speed, he could take people off the dribble because he's
good enough.
He's known as a finisher.
Yeah, he's a good enough player. And that's not... Blake Griffin's stats this season is 14 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 37% from field goal, 29% from three.
Not at all what we need him to be doing.
No, but...
It's improved.
Realistically, are we going to really think... I don't think he's going to be putting up 14 points at the end of the season. I think it's going to be more.
Well, yeah. If we want to get rid of him, he needs to be putting up at least 19.
And let's not undervalue that assist stat of 4 assists per game.
He did that when he led us to the playoffs.
Exactly. I mean, it's a good sign to see he looks like he's getting in the swing of things again. I mean, his production's not gonna it's not gonna show up on the stat sheet, but right now he's looking a lot better from what he did when he first started off the season.
I already know if we were to trade him, he would become suddenly fully healthy.
That's okay, honestly. I mean, Pistons fan, we're not trashing on him. We're not.
No.
He's gonna leave. We're gonna wish him the best. We're gonna hopefully.
I mean, Blake Griffin was my former favorite player, so I'll always wish him the best, regardless of how shitty he was at some points in Detroit.
But, I mean, Blake Griffin, I feel like he's starting to show that leadership role. He's really filling into those shoes. Not every time down the court, he's not going to be showing it because he is a very emotional player. We've seen it a lot. But that leadership is starting to step up, I feel like, and it's really good for the Pistons.
Hopefully he can keep it up and actually distribute this ball, because if him and Jeremy Grant could find a connection that could...
It could really help the Pistons.
I'm not trying to just focus on trade value, but that really is what we want to do with Blake.
Yeah, I mean, if we keep him, we keep him. But, I mean, every Piston fan is sitting here probably listening and thinking, yeah, we need to trade Blake Griffin.
And I get there's people out there that are like, just keep Blake, blah, 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 this and that, trade other people, and it's just, we're not going to win with this team. And if you really think at any point this team could really compete for a playoff spot, then I think you need to get that out of your head, because we are not competing.
No.
We are here to get a better pick, to lose, but just build these rookies. Like, all these young guys have such high ceilings from what we've seen so far. And if you think on a nightly basis they need to go out there and play the hardest 48 minutes of their life just to be disappointed at the end as the 11th seed at best, then that's not what we're trying to accomplish. And it bugs me, because I don't see where this team makes any type of run at anything.
Yeah, I mean, we won't. I mean, speaking about young guys, though, Sadiq Bey, what a start, honestly. I mean, who was expecting this going into the season?
I think he's a lock to start. I think he should be starting for the rest of the season.
But where do you start him? You're not going to throw Blake Griffin on the bench.
No.
You ain't throwing Grant on the bench.
Right now, I'd put him at the 2. Josh Jackson is not playing well.
We could play him at the 2. I mean, he would have size at the 2 position. It's just if he could guard the 2 position consistently.
He put up a good fight against Tatum.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a good defender, but consistently,
I'd rather put him out there and have him try it.
I mean, I agree. I mean, he looks good enough that we should be starting him, but it's just the fact of where we're going to start him, And we know Dwayne Casey ain't going to throw him at the 2 position. No. And if he does, thank God.
If Blake Griffin's gone, Jeremy will move to the 4 full-time.
Yeah, and you'll see Sadiq Bey in the starting position.
Sadiq at the 3.
Yeah. And that'd be the right thing to do.
I saw something on Twitter today saying, is V. Mikhailuk already reached his peak? Is this what he's going to be at most in the league, is just to get the ball and throw it up?
Well, let's go back to former seasons as the Pistons. We've had players like this before, like Galloway, Langston Galloway. I mean, look what he just did off the bench for the Suns.
Against the Pistons.
Reggie Bullock.
Was that guy.
He definitely peaked in Detroit. Great 3-point shooter. Shipped him to the Lakers. We got returned. Hopefully Svi can do the same thing. Hopefully Svi can come off the bench, knock down some threes, because there's contending teams that will need that 3-point shooting in the playoffs.
I'm sure Svi is not the... Well, I'm sure he's got some trade value just because of his shooting, but... Yeah. It's just those type of guys on this team, and I don't want to say that we're going to trade a young guy, but if it comes down to that, it could be a forward. It'll be a forward, because we need to make up space for people to actually play. But we're going to talk about his ceiling, Sadiq Bey's. Is there a player in this league that you could see him evolving into comparing to them like that, or is he going to be his own guy?
Obviously Sadiq Bey is probably, every player goes out there, I want to be the best Sadiq Bey I can be, But if we are going to compare him, God, I would love to see him step up to it isn't one of my most favorite players in the NBA. And the only reason this comes off the top of my head is because the comment that he currently made. I kind of see a little bit of Paul Pierce and Sadiq Bey. Not defensively. Not maybe he wasn't. Well, Paul Pierce was athletic when he came to the league, but the way he produces his own shot, the corner 3, I mean, looks good.
He's just got to work on his jumper.
The jumper looks good though.
It does not look good.
It goes in.
It goes in, but it just doesn't look good.
If it goes in, it goes in.
There's not much arc to it, and they said that Dwayne Casey commented on it already and said they're not going to critique it this season. They're going to wait till the offseason when they have a full offseason to work with it. Because I'm sure if he could make improvements like Lonzo, I don't see why he can't shoot over 40%.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, do you think the Paul Pierce comparison's really that crazy?
I mean, could he really...
I mean, who else would you compare him to?
The only reason I have a problem with the Paul Pierce comparison is like ball handle. Paul Pierce had such underrated handles, which made it so much easier for him to score.
But I think during Sadiq Bey's career, he could develop that ball handling. He could be that player that could create his own shot.
Sadiq Bey's ceiling, in my opinion, is going to be... He's just going to be another guy that's like, I feel like a 2-option, 3-option at most. Because he wasn't the most hyped up coming into the league. And if we're being realistic, quote-unquote realistic, I feel like he could evolve into what Jeremy Grant was in Denver. Or maybe, who knows, he could have been like, he could be a Covington. He could be a Covington when he was in Philly and really made that whole 3-and-D narrative.
Just wait 3 years from now, Sadiq Bey is going to be an all-star, and we're just going to be shitting on this take.
Oh, I'm not. I'll never shit on Sadiq Bey, but
Sadiq Bey becomes a 3-time all-star.
Shit, man, nothing will make me happier.
No,
nothing would make me happier.
That'd be funny though.
What about
Killian Hayes' injury, man?
Well,
I mean, what do you think is the best option for him? Surgery, rehab?
I mean, if he doesn't need the surgery, don't get it. But if you do need it, don't push it off because you want to play this season. This season very likely could not even happen.
Hear me out. Killian Hayes, hip injury, it's a very serious injury, especially for his longevity of his career.
Yeah, this injury without right care could really determine the future.
Would it be such a bad idea to just say, I'm going to miss the rest of the season, I'm going to get the surgery, focus on rehab, and come back stronger, than doing rehab right now? How long will we rehab? Probably a month or two. He rehabs, then...
What, the surgery?
No, if he just goes to rehab.
If he just goes to rehab, they said it'll take like a month and a half at most.
Then you have the chance of re-aggravating that injury. I mean, I get it, you have the chance after surgery, but the surgery has a more given chance to come back healthier,
Yeah, that's
rehab.
what I'm saying. If he needs a surgery, take it.
Yeah.
I don't see why you wouldn't. We need him to come back and be 100% because when he was playing, he didn't have really the confidence to, create his own shot like that and get shots to fall. He had good looks, it's just they weren't falling. And if we really need him to perform at 100% and to get all these Killian's a bust narratives off of Twitter already, just let him rehab.
Yeah, we need him to come back 100% before anything else. I mean, that's got to be the first priority for the Pistons.
I don't want to hear anybody calling him a bust after how many years it takes people to even start a run. Ben Simmons, Embiid, all those types of guys. Yeah. Everybody that got Blake Griffin. Griffin especially.
Didn't Markelle Fultz get hurt his first season?
Markelle Fultz.
Now look at him. I mean, obviously...
Markelle Fultz literally had to remake his whole jumper. Yeah. He had to learn how to shoot again.
But towards ACL now, obviously we know that. But he was looking so good, And
he was a starting point guard.
Yeah. And after that first season, people were like, bust.
I don't see exactly why Killian couldn't be that much better than Markelle. And I really think he will be.
Even Lonzo Ball. Bust. Oh, he's a bust. He can't shoot. Bust. Now look at him. People got to understand you got to give Killian Hayes time. Obviously, it's got to be the first priority is coming back healthy. But 3 years from now, 2 years from now, he could be a bust. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah. He could. But if you give him time and he does progress on how he's supposed to when he was drafted, he could be our starting point guard. And I really do believe that.
You just can't call after 10 games in an injury
you can't call him a bust.
It's horrible.
Yeah, you can't do it.
That's like if LeBron entered the league and you're like, okay, this kid's really good, and he didn't perform those first 10 games, got injured, and then went on to become one of the best of all time. It's just that's what can happen. Blake Griffin, when he broke his leg going into that 2009 season, I'm sure he thought,
Griffin. Yeah, another one. Yeah. I'm
sure he was like, okay, this could really mess up my future. Let me take my time. And he was fine. So... Last thing about the Pistons, because we're talking more basketball. Lack of production at point guard. With Killian out, Derrick Rose isn't getting it done. Frank Jackson looks like he doesn't know when to pass the ball. DeLon Wright is, I'm going to say it right now, DeLon Wright is dog shit. I am tired of his play these last few games.
I wouldn't say dog shit.
He's not, obviously we're like I said, here to be bad. We're not here to ruin games.
The way I think about it is Derrick Rose is coming off the bench averaging 5 assists a game, and he's our leading assist.
That's the most assists.
DeLon Wright is not a point guard.
No.
And you can tell, as a Pistons fan, watching that game, watching these few games of him starting at the point, he is not a point guard. He is a primary shooting guard position.
He's just a guy you give the ball to and let him drive and see what happens.
I think
Or
as
shoot.
time moves on, I think the right move maybe might be giving Saban Lee, I wouldn't say stardom, but giving him that point guard, maybe draw up some shots, get some shots to go in, shoot some threes. Giving Saban Lee the okay to, all right, our point guard position's lacking. Let's pick it up. Like, we're gonna give you a few more minutes as the season goes on.
Try it out.
Hopefully throughout 30 games throughout the season, we're like, all right, you gotten enough experience. We're gonna give you 20 minutes a game, 15 minutes a game, because DeLon Wright, he's not gonna be our point guard for the future. We're probably not even. We might not even have him past this season. Who knows?
Realistically, we won't.
But like you said, Frank Jackson, he does look lost on the floor right now. But Frank Jackson, I wouldn't mind seeing Frank Jackson step it up a little bit. Maybe letting him run the offense a little bit, because he does look like he has the potential to be a good two-way bench piece to our roster right now.
An emphasis I want to put on this. The main guys that are producing this season, name them. Jeremy Grant, Sadiq Bey. You got people like
Josh Jackson.
Plumlee. Whether we like it or not, Plumlee is performing.
Yeah, he's producing.
What do they all have in common? They're all people with something to prove.
Yeah.
DeLon Wright in Dallas and Toronto was already an established good playmaker and good shooter.
Oh, yeah.
And good passer.
DeLon Wright went to the Pistons. You're like, we were saying, you're like, that's a good pickup.
Yeah.
You're looking at DeLon Wright. You're like, he's a good player. He could really help this. Right now, we're not saying that.
Everybody that
Wright
is performing has been questioned and has been targeted for the first 3 or 4 games just to see how they perform. We need to give more emphasis to the players that have something to prove, such as Saban Lee.
Yeah. Or Frank Jackson. Either.
They play with a purpose. They play with Josh Jackson. They play with a reason to, represent their name right, represent the city right. DeLon Wright is playing just to play, I feel like. It's just that type of thing. Yeah. Derrick Rose is playing just to play and show these people, or show the young guys what it's like to be 32 years old in this league.
But the thing about D Rose is, you're keeping him on the roster because he is a great person to learn.
He's a steal for $8 million.
But I mean, even when he was out, you were missing his points per game. I mean, you were missing those points that he was bringing off the bench.
Whenever Derrick Rose is on the floor, regardless of his play, I'm happy just because it's Derrick Rose. But if he decides to pick it up a little bit more, because honestly, he's just not getting shots to fall and he's getting way too frustrated early. I don't think you need to show much frustration, especially with the young guys. It's just going to... I don't feel like that's the right image to give off, and it won't really fuel them. It'll just be like, okay, we're pissing off the older guys. We're pissing off the guys that want to get out of here.
Derrick Rose, he'll pick it up, though.
I'm sure.
I mean, last thing about the point guard position, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, you just saw the Cavs pick up Yogi Ferrell. What if we picked up maybe got another pickup for the point guard position?
Isaiah Thomas.
Would you really be that mad if we... I honestly would love to see Isaiah Thomas come to the Pistons.
I mean,
don't get me wrong. I know he's not a...
What if he comes here and averages 30 again?
I mean, that would be awesome. But Isaiah Thomas, he would be the same thing as a D Rose. He would be going to the season. He was already proven.
I feel like he wouldn't even give us even a time to consider it. I feel like he would just be like, no, I'm not here for that type of game.
At this point in his career, I don't think he has a choice to choose what he wants and doesn't want. I mean,
That's also true.
He's not on a team for a reason. And if the Pistons did decide to give him a chance...
He's not on a team for no reason.
And Killian Hayes is out for the season. Maybe picking up like an Isaiah Thomas wouldn't be such a bad idea, especially for a minutes eater.
Honestly, I wouldn't be against it, but don't sign him for too much.
They won't. They wouldn't happen like that.
if we're going to keep talking basketball, Michigan is 10-0.
Great start to the season.
We, in this house, are diehard Michigan basketball fans, Michigan football, everything. And seeing us 10-0, finally ranked top 10.
Yeah, put in respect. And the funny thing is, we're saying finally ranked top 10, but we sit and you're like, oh, God, top 10 ranked now. This is when it gets serious.
Whenever Michigan basketball is ranked top 10, it either continues for a streak and then eventually falls or falls immediately.
I mean, we got a big game against Wisconsin today. And,
Ranked 9th.
And we're ranked higher than them. And now we're finally like, all right, this is the game that's going to, are we for real?
Because,
I personally do think we are for real, even though I do get scared of the 7-man rotation that we run with the starters, then Shondae Brown and Brandon Johns coming off the bench. But it's working so far. You can't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Obviously, Juwan Howard's proving that.
the thing that's crazy is we have so much depth on this team and only playing 7 people and still going 10-0. Because there's people out there like Terrence Williams.
Yeah.
That obviously could play full-time somewhere else. He probably could start somewhere. Shondae Brown would start anywhere else.
But he's playing great off the bench. And he transferred here, too. You got to remember that.
Yeah.
So he picked a choke. I mean, he knew what he was coming to, and he's proven he's a Big Ten player.
The depth of this team could really determine how far we go.
Yeah.
And if we keep up this production, I don't see why we couldn't stomp through a team like Wisconsin this year, a team like in the Big Ten, because the Big Ten's the best basketball conference there is.
Biggest fight that we're gonna have this season, I feel like, is playing Illinois. I think Illinois is.
They just lost again.
I know, but I think Illinois is the most proven team that could make a run in the Big Ten, besides for Michigan, Michigan State.
Do they still have
obviously
Cockburn?
Iowa, yeah.
Like, not even try to be funny. They still have Cockburn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're 2 guards. They have great guards, combo guards.
But Michigan, these past few games against Northwestern, who else have we played?
Just dominated.
Yeah, it's just every time I check the box score, the leading score on that other team is held to like 20% shooting.
Yeah.
And you want to know who's mostly on that guy? Is Franz Wagner.
Yeah, and I think Franz Wagner is going to be the one that's going to be NBA ready.
Do you think he's the most NBA ready out of anybody?
Him or Isaiah Livers.
If you were to pick, who's the most NBA ready on this team right
NBA
now?
ready right now, Isaiah Livers. NBA potential, Franz Wagner. And I say NBA potential for a couple reasons. Franz Wagner is still growing, which is very scary.
He's like 6'9" now.
He can shoot the ball well. He's athletic. He's a great defender. I mean, if he leaves to go to the NBA this season, I wouldn't be surprised. I think personally he should maybe stay 1 more year to develop. Then he'd be for sure ready. But his potential could be through the roof.
Just imagine when he gets the NBA training and his shot speed increases to where he gets it off faster.
That's what I'm saying.
He's already got the arc on it. If he can get that shot off faster, if he can be more explosive off the dribble, he could really average 21 right now in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to. That's a great part.
That's the same thing.
That's how good of a team Michigan has built around him.
Every starter on Michigan could average 20 in Division I basketball.
Yeah, 100%.
Mike Smith could average a double-double every night.
Yeah.
Franz Wagner is putting up stats in every single category there is. Hunter Dickinson is, goddamn it, the best player right now.
We haven't even talked about Hunter Dickinson yet because we're getting so excited.
As a 7'1" freshman out of DeMatha High School.
Dominates.
He came in as a 5-star center, but I question his athleticism, and honestly, he's the first person down the court. He's the first person to meet someone at the basket. He's dropping on everything to help, and it's perfect.
It's at the point you give him the ball down low, you're like, oh, it's going in.
If he gets the ball within 10 feet to the basket, it's 90% of the time going to be a shot or a foul.
Yeah. I mean, he just looks so dominant down the court. And
I just want to see him in guards play.
And the thing is, you got to remember, he's only a freshman.
He's younger than us.
And he could go to the NBA probably. Do I think it's best for him to go to the NBA? I'm not 100% sure on that. But if he's putting up these numbers that he's been putting up throughout the whole season, why not? Why wouldn't he go to the NBA?
I'm just hoping, because I'm not saying Teskey played like him at all during his tenure at Michigan.
No way.
But Teskey, at points, showed that he was the best player on this team.
Yeah, he did.
And I'm just hoping this isn't just some hot streak for Hunter, and then eventually he goes down and plays like Teskey the last 5 games he did for Michigan.
And let's not forget that we're still missing Austin Davis. And he's coming. I have heard that he is rehabbing well and he's supposed to come back soon. But Austin Davis, there's no way he's getting that starting spot back.
No.
No.
I wouldn't give it to him.
You're starting Dickinson and you're riding with Hunter Dickinson.
So if you're assessing the bench, because at most we'll run an 8-man rotation. Yes, at most.
That's exactly. You'll be running Shonda, Johns, and
does Davis get minutes off the bench?
100%. Yeah. He's
7. Over people like Terrence Williams?
Yeah, because you got to realize he's 7'1". His defensive presence down low is great. What if,
he draws too many fouls.
But that's fine, because you have Hunter Dickinson that has started this whole season without really getting into foul trouble that bad. I mean, especially having a guy with Austin Davis, if any of our bigs does get foul trouble, I think it's great for Michigan for him to come back.
So, is this Hunter Dickinson's team?
No.
Right now, if you're assessing who's the captain, you're still picking Livers?
100%. He's got the most experience. He's the most familiar with the offense. Especially, he's the longest person that has been around with Howard, besides Wagner, obviously. But, no, I would say, even you got to remember, Liver goes back all the way to the run that we made to the finals. He's got the experience to really lead this team. Dickinson's only a freshman. The way I put it, he might be the best player on the floor, but he isn't the best leader.
Do you think this could be like a Liver saving it for the tourney?
I think this could be a Livers leading this team deep into the tourney.
Well, what I'm saying is, come turning time, do you expect
Isaiah Livers to be the man?
You expect him to pick it up completely?
Yeah.
Dickinson's numbers will drop, but he'll probably just be better on the boards and stuff.
Not even that. Dickinson could be still putting up 21 points, but you could see Isaiah Liver really taking over.
If the increased shot rate comes from Mike Smith, Eli Brooks, Shonda Brown, there's no reason I can't see Dickinson pulling down 14 to 15 boards a game in the tournament.
And he already does it against great bigs already in the Big Ten, so there's no reason to.
I'm excited to see if we go against some higher seeds in the tournament, how this team, if they shit the bed or...
I'm excited to see what they do throughout the Big Ten. Yeah. There is nothing I could imagine being better than Michigan winning the Big Ten title this year. Honestly.
And honestly, I wouldn't put more than one team above them for that chance.
Do I expect them to go undefeated? 100% no. They're not going to go undefeated. And just because they are undefeated doesn't mean they will. But
because there's only about 10 teams that are undefeated that are relevant.
Yeah. But number one, the Big Ten, strongest division. We already talked about that.
By far.
Number two, you got to realize we still, after this Big Ten season that we're going to have, we still got to go to the Big Ten tournament. And you still got to go through the NCAA tournament. I really hope we just see Michigan play strong basketball throughout this first 10 games.
Strong and healthy basketball.
Yes. I'm just really hoping for them to look like a confident team going into the tournament. Maybe a top 4 seed.
I feel like the biggest impact for this tournament is going to be, besides for obviously the main guys, the best transfer. Because once this season's over, we're going to know realistically who was the best pickup from transfer-wise.
Yeah.
And he's going to be the third guy.
Yeah. Could be Mike Smith. Could be...
Obviously, one of these guys, and Wagner, Livers, or Dickinson, is going to drop in production in the tournament just because of matchups.
Yeah.
The transfer that I feel like is going to be the biggest guy to really step it up for that is going to be Shonda Brown.
Shonda Brown is a great...
Because when it comes to the tournament, you need offense, sadly.
And
Michigan's proven it with defense.
don't even forget, Shonda Brown, he's playing really good on offense this year, but his defense has looked great.
He's like, what, a 6'6" shooting guard?
Yeah. 6'6" shooting guard out of Wake Forest, I believe.
Because, personally, in my opinion, we've seen it in the Sweet 16 against Texas Tech or Elite 8 against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
When they made that run.
Yep.
We held them to, what, 30 points at halftime, but we had 17?
Yeah.
It's the offense in the tournament. That's what I feel like is going to be it. And Shonda Brown, well, Mike Smith is always good, but Shonda Brown is that guy that could really take over for us, I feel like, out of all the transfers.
All the transfers, 100%. I feel like Shonda Brown could be the guy to take
He's that
over.
one guy that could sub in and be like, okay, I'm going to go get you 12 points in 2 minutes.
That's not us dissing on Mike Smith either. That's us thinking that Mike Smith could be the guy to average 6 or 7 assists while only dropping 6 points.
I've told you Mike Smith is my Wolverine this year.
Yeah, I mean, he looks great. I love Mike Smith.
He's literally the perfect replacement for Xavier Simpson.
Oh, yeah, he's such a great replacement for him.
Did you see Xavier in the G League
he's
draft?
the- yeah.
7th pick.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
He's gonna-
That shows he has the potential to be a good player. In that
Stauskas went too.
league. Yeah, I saw
Michigan
that too.
alumni.
Yeah, Michigan alumni showing up. We're not talking about Karis LeVert, Tim Hardaway. We're talking about
The people that were slept on.
Teskey. He even got a chance in the G League too.
I'm
Or
sure.
not the G League, the
He was in the
preseason-
league.
Preseason.
Yeah. He had a contract with the Magic. But
Last thing I think we should talk about Michigan basketball though. Let's talk about the coaching. Juwan Howard.
is Juwan Howard here to stay?
Juwan Howard is going to be the new John Calipari of basketball for Michigan. I'm not saying he's not going to be as good as John Calipari.
Or successful.
But God, you got to love what he's doing as soon as he took over John Beilein's position. Came in.
Got one of the best classes we could have.
Played great his first season, but sadly got cut off due to COVID. We all sit here and think, man, what would that team done last season in the
Imagine
tournament?
what this team will do
Yeah.
if COVID doesn't take it over.
Then he comes in with this strong start of 10-0 with this team, and then that's to top that, the recruits that he's getting is just impeccable. I mean, Juwan Howard just looks like he's going to be a great coach for the long run for Michigan basketball, and I couldn't imagine a better coach to take over for the legend of John Beilein of what he did for Michigan basketball.
Because everybody praises Beilein to be, arguably one of the best, if not the best, Michigan basketball coach
100%.
in history.
Yeah.
Could this era of Juwan Howard basketball really be... Because it seems like he's going to have the best recruiting classes possible.
He 100% will have better recruits than John Beilein. But
Could this mean that...
The difference between John Beilein and Juwan Howard, John Beilein recruited for his offense, for his style of play. Juwan Howard's recruiting to recruit the best.
Yeah, it seems like he's not afraid to change his play every season.
Yeah, that means you're going to see more players transfer out and in. You're going to see more top prospects, one and dones from Michigan possibly. And as a Michigan fan, we gotta start realizing this really could be the start of Michigan basketball throughout the next 5 to 10 seasons.
Dominating the Big Ten.
Not even dominating the Big Ten, getting the recruits to match up every single year to be a great contending basketball team.
Only way to get recruits is to show.
Just to win. And
If
Juwan Howard looks like he knows exactly what he's doing.
if Dickinson goes to the draft this year, this just proves that Juwan Howard could take almost any recruit, because Dickinson didn't look like he was NBA ready at all before this season.
No.
If Dickinson goes to the draft and goes first round, even top 20, this just is really showing everybody in the nation that Juwan Howard is the real deal when it comes to progressing people.
Yes, especially bigs.
Especially bigs, and that's what Michigan's known for.
I mean, let's not forget that Juwan Howard also has the NBA experience. He's played the NBA. He's
Literally 6'10".
assistant coach. How long was he assistant coach on the Heat? 10 years at least?
Won a ring.
Yeah. I mean, he's been around those great players. And even the players on Michigan basketball, they ask, how is it to be around Juwan Howard? And he's like, in Hunter Dickinson, I heard him talk in an interview, he said one of the best parts is him telling the stories about LeBron and all those players that he got to be with and play with.
Remember, Howard has experience with coaching with Spoelstra,
Yep.
Stan Van Gundy,
Yep.
and Spoelstra, I mean,
One of the greatest
after
coaches.
last year,
Yeah.
he's just been known as a winning coach. Stan Van Gundy, I hate the fucking dude,
But he is an NBA
2011
coach.
with Dwight.
He is an NBA coach. I mean, he's proven.
He's done with big men.
Yeah.
Dwight Howard.
And Juwan Howard, I just can't see a better coach taking over his spot for the long run.
And I'm not saying he's young, but he's a young coach.
He's a young coach.
He's young to take full speed, and I mean, he's gonna get, if he keeps this up, NBA offers.
Exactly, and that's another point I was going to get to. There's gonna, as a great coach, you're always going to have the great coach, flukes of, is he going to go to the NBA?
Like Coach K, Calipari,
yeah,
all them guys.
Yeah, even with Harbaugh. I mean, at Michigan football, this season, is he going to go to the NFL, even though he sucked at Michigan?
Some people are really just content.
Yeah.
Some people love to coach college.
Juwan Howard is a Michigan man, and I can imagine leaving Michigan to go to an NBA offer.
No, not anytime soon, at least.
Not anytime soon, at least.
Till he's Beeline's age.
Yeah.
So we got another 30, 40 years on him. But
at least, yeah.
Last thing, we're going to talk NBA topics. We didn't expect this to go past 40 minutes, but I guess it's going to. Whatever.
It's all right.
Kyrie Irving went off the grid.
Who knows?
Julius Randle.
Balling.
Zach LaVine.
Balling out.
Jaylen Brown.
Wow. Those players. I mean, all the players you just named.
Zach LaVine.
I mean, out of all those players, what player would you be like, he showed the most,
CJ McCollum.
Yeah, I mean, CJ McCollum's been doing this. But, wow. Biggest improvement I've seen from those players that Julius Randle. He was offered such a big contract in New York. In his first, is he on his third or second year in the Knicks?
I think third now.
Third year. His first 2 seasons, from what he's shown this season, just wow. I mean, what an improvement on a total package of basketball from him. From the assists to rebounds to points.
Do you want to hear a hot take I have on him?
Sure.
Why can't he be Jokic? Better. Why can't he be better than Jokic somewhere else?
Very hot take. Because he's on the Knicks.
Think about it. What does Jokic do on offense? Everything.
Yeah.
What is Julius Randle doing in New York right now?
Pretty much everything.
Stats-wise, it's not far apart.
It's not. Not yet, yeah. We're only 10 games in, though.
And think about Jokic's weapons.
He's got some good weapons in Denver. Jamal Murray.
Who the hell is relevant besides the starting lineup in New York?
Right now, it's only the obvious answers is
R.J. Barrett.
And R.J. Barrett, yeah.
I don't want to say that Julius Randle is the next coming of Jokic at all. It's why can't he be considered a guy in praise like Jokic? Obviously, he's in New York, and I feel like if he was on any other competing team, why couldn't he do this there? He just needs to have the ball in his hands. And, I mean, I don't want to say it, but, like, after he goes viral, after his kid's doing something in basketball, he goes off. It just happens. Whenever people have a kid and that's broadcasted, boom, Fred VanVleet, Jason Tatum.
Julius Randle?
Yes.
Kid a kid?
He's been had a kid.
Really?
His kid went viral during the summer because when he was playing basketball, his kid tackled somebody.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Wrong sport.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm not saying obviously because he's a kid he's doing good.
Yeah.
He's been realistically one of the most underrated power forwards. And he's only been on teams that don't give him chances. Now he's like, you're going to give me the damn ball, and I'm going to show you what I can do. He's averaging 20, 24, 12, and 7.5.
Yeah. I mean, what if the Knicks start buying at the trade deadline?
No, they're not going to compete.
What if, I mean, the Eastern Conference, they're good this year, but the Knicks could contend for a playoff spot this year.
New York, to contend, needs to trade for...
Would you really be surprised if the Knicks really did start buying?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Especially with the Kevin Durant and Kyrie rumors?
Yes.
I don't know.
The Knicks need to get a new point guard, a new small forward.
Dude, Alfred Payton? Come on.
In depth. Kevin Knox, not depth. Alfred Payton, backup point guard, not starting.
I would love to hear the Knicks fans talk about...
They would just shit on me for saying
Knox.
everything I just said.
Kevin Knox. That's the player that I want to hear the Knicks talk about because...
I mean, he's another Stanley Johnson.
I didn't want to say that, but that's kind of where I was getting to.
He
What
is.
what is Kevin Knox going to turn into for New York? Who knows, honestly.
When will Kevin Knox turn into anything is the question for New York fans.
But
When?
you got to realize if the Knicks do play 500 basketball this season, that doesn't help them.
No.
That actually makes it a lot worse for them in a position of a rebuilding team.
Obviously, they want to win. We
Right?
want to win in
I
Detroit,
mean,
too.
you would call the Knicks a rebuilding team right now, right?
Is Jeremy Grant the Julius Randle?
Yes and no. And I say yes
I think
and
Julius
no.
Randle's better.
Yes, but the only reason I say yes and no, Julius Randle's been on the Knicks for longer. This isn't his first year on the Knicks. This is just his first breakout year on the Knicks.
Well,
This is Jeremy Grant's first breakout year as a starting. I mean, he started on the Denver, but I'm saying like a 1 or 2 guy on a team.
also got to take into consideration that this is Tom Thibodeau's first full season with the Knicks.
Yeah.
And he has a history of overplaying his players.
And right now, his top two players in the league right now.
Julius Randle and RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Julius Randle's obviously lost weight, bulked up, gotten better at certain aspects of the game. It's just,
Can shoot the ball well now.
like I said before, the Jokic take, it's hot, but you need to respect him.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he be that guy?
Yeah.
It's like, why couldn't Jeremy Grant average 25 for the rest of the season?
Yeah. I mean, we realistically could.
It's like, why couldn't McCollum really become the first option? Why couldn't Jaylen Brown be considered better than Tatum right now?
I think the hottest take you just said was CJ McCollum being the first option. I don't think there will be another first option on the Trailblazers as long as Damian Lillard sets foot on that court. I mean, he's outplaying him now, but they're only 10 games in. What always happens at the end of the season? CJ McCollum gets hurt. Damian Lillard turns into fuego and just starts lighting it up.
Did you watch that game winner by McCollum last night?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
There was no thought of passing it. He took his guy head on. Who did they go against again last night? The Raptors.
The Raptors.
Went against, I think, Van Fleet. Took him off the dribble and pulled up over him within 4 seconds of the shot clock. It was the most collected game winner I have seen this season. And I disliked McCollum because of his fantasy production for me a couple years ago. But it's just, why not? In a season like this, why not?
It's just because Dame Lillard. I mean, that's all. I mean, that's my only answer. Is just Dame. Dame is Dame. I mean,
as of right now, I'm giving McCollum the ball.
Right now, yeah. I mean, that's fine. I mean, you're going to give the hot player the ball in the moment. But first option, I think it's a little too far. But
it's like Beal and Westbrook. Beal's the first option of scoring. Russell Westbrook's the main ball handler.
A player I'm excited to talk about, personally, Zach LaVine.
He needs to get the hell out of Chicago.
He needs to get out of Chicago because he is a baller.
Where's he going to go?
Who knows, honestly, but he needs to get out of Chicago ASAP.
Wait a minute.
I know you're going to say.
We talked about buying.
Knicks. Zach LaVine to the Knicks.
Play him at point.
Play him at the shooting guard. RJ Barrett can play 3.
What? They need a new point guard.
He's not going to play the point guard. Zach LaVine's not a point guard. He'll play.
Zach LaVine is more of a point guard than he is a small forward.
Hear me out. Raptors 2-8 start to the season.
I'm not trading Siakam.
You don't have to trade Siakam for Zach LaVine. You could trade other players. If they want to be a playoff team again, and Zach LaVine to the Raptors. How interesting would that be? Kyle Lowry, Zach LaVine, Siakam.
Who would the Bulls realistically want from Toronto in return for that? Anunoby?
Picks. A lot of picks.
They need a player.
Picks, man, because the Bulls are rebuilding.
Anunoby, Terrence Mann,
the
and
Raptors
picks.
are not rebuilding. They are a shocking team in the NBA right now that are playing awful. And who knows?
I need my Raptors to pick this up, especially Lowry.
But Zach LaVine, dude, put some respect on his name. That's all I got to say, man. I mean, last year I get it. He did average 24 points or 23 points.
But he's been doing that.
Yeah, but he's just... I feel bad for the man, honestly, because every year there's always that Zach LaVine talk of, what he can do with the ball and what he can do scoring. But, God, I just want to see him get a chance to win.
I want to see him in the West.
I want to see him win.
You know what would be a fun place for him? if the injuries come back and they end up buying at the trade deadline, Memphis
With Ja?
with Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr.
How explosive of a team would that be?
That starting lineup realistically could be Ja, Levine, Kyle Anderson,
Or Brooks?
Jaren Jackson Jr. I think they would get rid of Brooks for Levine
Maybe, yeah.
and Valanciunas. Obviously, the money's not there, so they might have to dump a couple people off. But I would love to see Levine end up being on a competitive young team, not a rebuilding young team.
Yeah, but the problem is with
Like the Magic.
Grizzlies. The problem is with the Grizzlies. Ever since they lost Ja due to injury, they have been struggling of late. I think they are one of the bottom teams in the West right now. But like you said, if Ja comes back healthy, they start making a run for the playoffs, and they do buy.
Levine.
Zach Levine would be a great pickup.
What about the Magic?
No,
They have the better trade assets than the Grizzlies.
Yeah, they do, but I couldn't see them buying for some reason. It's just the Magic, man. They're like the Pistons now. They're like the Pistons of 4 seasons in a row. Just consistently
Mediocre.
Just a consistent mediocre team.
Let's talk one more NBA topic, and then we'll end it there.
All right.
Who do you see as the most underrated player now? Because take into consideration now that Jeremy Grant's considered like a top 5 forward.
Yeah, okay.
Julius Randle's considered a top 5 forward. There's a lot of people that weren't considered top 5 that are. Who is the most underrated or like most hated on because of their start?
Do they have to be doing good, or is it because they
It's
also
just
could
like-
be doing bad?
It's like saying, okay, Donovan Mitchell's shooting 35% from the field and he's still putting up numbers. You need to just wait on it because he'll be averaging 30 at the end of the season. Like,
Ready for this one? De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
love what De'Aaron Fox has been doing, especially on a Sacramento Kings team. I mean, did you see that dunk he had to put away that game last night?
Mm-mm.
Wow. Dude, he just absolutely postered. I don't know who it was, but destroyed him
Who'd they go
to ice
against?
a game. I would have to look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head.
They were winning.
Think
they
but
won.
De'Aaron Fox put a clutch poster.
Barnes had 30.
Dude, De'Aaron Fox, he got signed to that big extension, and it's like he just went off the rogue. I haven't heard anyone talk about De'Aaron Fox ever since yesterday, really, when he put that game winner dunk.
He's on the most irrelevant team in California.
Yeah. He played the Pacers,
Oh, and they won.
and they won. They ended up beating them 127 to 122. Fox put up... Hold on one second.
I could really see.
Fox put up 21, 9, and 5, shooting 7 for 19 with 38 minutes played. De'Aaron Fox, the only reason I would say maybe not most improved, but with the situation he's in, with the pieces they have, I would love to see De'Aaron Fox really just start not taking over, but really putting the team into a win now mentality, especially with the pieces of Buddy Hield. They got Harrison Barnes, who's playing good.
He needs to talk to Bagley.
Marvin Bagley's been picking it up though. I mean, he might not have the most positive attitude, but he's been playing good of late.
I don't think he's on that team at the end of the season just because of his dad.
Maybe not. I mean, yeah, but dads are dads. I mean, he had LeVar Ball.
But his dad went public with it.
I
And
know.
the last time a dad went public with it, LeVar
Yeah.
kind of, was the most aggravating top story every single night.
Yeah, but man, De'Aaron Fox, I would say, is a very underrated. I don't know if you can say underrated, but maybe
He's
a player,
the guy to look out for.
Yeah, maybe a guy to start, keeping your eyes on more, especially with Buddy Hield. No one really talks about Buddy Hield, but he's shooting awful this season, and that's not how he was the former 3-point champion.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if he starts picking it up,
If that team picks it up.
maybe the Kings could start picking it up in the West. I mean, the West is a tough conference right now, but I mean, De'Aaron Fox, man.
One more take about the Kings before I say my underrated player. Harrison Barnes could average 24.
Yeah. I mean, 100%.
That's just what I think.
And who would have thought?
I mean,
I'm not even trying to be funny, but who would have thought Harrison Barnes would be putting up 24 points, especially when he was on the Warriors? God, he just did not look like he would be
If you ask a Warriors fan right now who they would rather have in Wiggins or Barnes, I bet you it would take them a minute because they're the same person.
In a way.
I would say they're the same player.
In a way, yeah.
You both get risks, this and that. But my most underrated player, I'm all for the LaMelo hype. And with the way he's been playing, he could very well be out. Devontae Graham.
Yeah, to the bench.
If he goes to a team like, say, New York.
LaMelo?
No, Devontae Graham.
Devontae Graham.
Say
Why?
like,
Why not keep him on the bench?
I'm just saying, though. He last season averaged, what, 20?
Yeah,
Put
I
up
think-
multiple
I think a
games of
little bit
40
under
plus.
20. Yeah. But, dude, how sick would it be to have a Devontae Graham as your sixth man?
Devontae Graham could realistically be one of the best shooters in the league. And with,
Dude,
there's more guards. There's more pressure on him to really perform because he's the only one in jeopardy of losing that starting spot.
Yeah,
to
scary.
LaMelo.
Yeah, Scary Terry ain't going anywhere
No.
right now. But
Scary Terry has proven to be a 20-plus a night guy.
I'm all for the LaMelo Ball hype.
Yeah.
I mean, I love LaMelo Ball. In the way he's playing, he just looks like the next triple-double point guard, young point guard that could really start doing this consistently in the league.
But what I'm saying is, like, they have Hayward. They have
Playing
PJ Washington,
great,
Miles Bridges.
Young.
They got
Playing good. They're all playing
they got
so good.
Rozier, LaMelo. They got the Martin twins. They
Who are-
got
yeah, Martin Twins.
Zeller when he comes back. They don't need him, Devontae.
They really don't. But
And there's no spot for him in the starting lineup.
no, not as of late.
On another team, he could put up 22 a night, and he's proven as a passer.
Yeah.
I feel like he's that guy to really look out for if they end up selling him and shipping him off somewhere. There's no reason why, if he goes to the Clippers or something, why he'll be a most improved player candidate again next season.
Man, the Hornets, man. You got me all riled up now. The Hornets, God, what an interesting team that could happen at the trade deadline. Honestly.
They're either buying or selling
Yeah. Or
because they're either
you
going to
could
be
say,
mediocre or
You
compete.
could say either. Yeah.
They're either.
But
There's the whole NBA is
how
either right now.
Dude, Zach LaVine to the
Hornets
Hornets?
for Devontae Graham.
Whew. Wow.
But what do they do? But then LaMelo would have to
He can play the point guard.
Terry.
Bench him.
I'm not benching Terry
Bench
over
Terry,
LaMelo
Terry.
right now.
Bench him over
I
LaVine.
wouldn't. But I think we're going to call it there. We went exceedingly above the time limit we thought we were going to go.
But this was easily the best podcast I've been on so far. I mean, exciting topics, exciting players to talk about.
And I'm just hoping that, these takes are really just making sense to you guys. And if not, then that's why I'd make the takes.
Yeah, I mean,
feedback.
Like we said last time, we would love to hear your feedback. Your, maybe comment on Twitter. Anything.
Tweet at me and tell me why I'm stupid for talking about Jokic and Randall.
Yeah, we want to hear what you guys have to say and about our takes. Anyone from anywhere. I mean, we would love to hear the takes.
And I mean, before I end this, I just want to say I'm going back to Grand Valley State, where I go in about 4 or 5 days. And I'm not going to have the same guys as usual, like Matt, Nate, Trevor. It's just, I plan on putting these out still and possibly even having Zoom calls with fans, other accounts, this and that, just to engage in it more. And I want to know if they want me to continue with this, stick to more Pistons recaps and stuff. Don't go into the Randall Jokic takes anymore.
Yeah.
Just that type of stuff. It's just, I'm enjoying it. Shout out the Grizzlies for following me.
Yeah, shout out Grizzlies.
Shout out Javon Carter's mom for liking my tweet.
She's a real one.
It's just, I'm loving what I'm doing so far, and I honestly hope that you guys enjoy this as much as I do.
Last take I gotta say from
We got another one.
for me to say here, go Blue tonight. Hope they put up a big game against Wisconsin, and
Oh yeah, I'm gonna knock on wood because this podcast has been
we have been jinxing a lot of topics.
jinxing a
lately,
lot
so
of players.
You can hear that. Yeah.
Jinxing a lot of players.
My last thing, go Blue. Honestly.
Yeah, go Blue. And thanks for listening, guys. Gonna tune in for the next one, and I think the next one's gonna be at the Lions. So
What an interesting topic.
yeah.